Hey there, and welcome to That's Audacious, where we share entrepreneurial stories from amazing leaders to inspire and motivate you to be bold, brave, and audacious. I'm your host, Lauren Clement, the brand navigator, here to share stories that will make you say, well, that's audacious. Hello, and welcome to another episode of That's Audacious. Today we have the fabulous Nimarta Verma here from Story Sharing. I can't wait to dig into her story. Nimarta is an incredible storyteller, and she has a methodology for sharing authentic stories that build trust. So if you're looking to build more trust with what you do, especially for a professional service provider, you're providing something very intangible, this is a really awesome episode you should be listening to. So Nimarta, thank you for joining us. I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about your backstory. How did you become this authentic storyteller that you are today?
Yeah, sure. Nice to be here, Lauren. So I have always loved stories, and I was like, pretty much that drove me into the world of brand and marketing, because you then get to create, or I got to create and articulate stories for some of the world's biggest brands. And that was all great. I really loved it. I took a leap then 5-6 years ago to start my own business doing just that. And at the same time, I've also, for the last decade, been a leadership coach and worked with individuals and coached individuals. And so I've had this like two separate worlds a little bit, right? My brand and marketing world with my business clients and my leadership coaching with my individual clients. And story sharing actually happened really organically. I was on a podcast sometime last year, just like this, sharing my own story. And once the episode was released, a stranger contacted me and said, can you help me share stories like you do? And I went, oh, like, sure, I'm a storyteller. I could do that. But when I started to work with her and trying to use the brand framework to work with her, I realized that it just doesn't land as a human to be, as much as we talk about personal brand, I want to kind of debunk that myth. Like, we're not a brand, we're humans. Brands have a very specific way of, look at me, how I'm different, look how I'm better. It's very much about sounding impressive if you're a brand. We can't do that as humans. It's just cringe. No one's going to connect with us, and it's not authentic. So I think a lot of people talk about authenticity. First of all, we've got to acknowledge that the way we've been taught to tell stories doesn't lend itself for that authenticity when it comes to our story. So I developed a methodology called story sharing, which is really around helping humans share that authentic story. And that was also really amplified by my own personal experience. I dealt with a grief. I lost 6 family members in a very short span of time while running a business, and not long after becoming a mother. And I was just spiraling downwards. And I was jumping on business calls, and people would say, just the Aussie way, how you going? Oh, good, thanks. Like, I couldn't say good thanks. It was like, ugh. So I just shared, here's what I'm dealing with. Here's the grief, like all of it. And I was really worried I'd be losing clients. People would think, how can we trust her? Like, she's dealing with a lot. Like, is she okay? But actually it led to more trust. I got business just from starting a pitch conversation with sharing my story. And I remember one of the clients, a long-term client I ended up becoming, I finished my story. He shared his story, and he goes, great, let's work together. And I go, don't you want to see my pitch and my pricing? He goes, no, don't want to see it.
There's something to be said for that human connection, isn't there? And I love the fact that your story, again, like so many entrepreneurs, has come from a place of pain and trauma, where you've created something that is so purposeful and meaningful to you. But the interesting thing is, as you say, as entrepreneurs, we're all told to be very successful and highly, performing and all these sorts of things. Yet it's the flaws and the insecurities and all those sorts of human elements that do make our stories something that people remember and something they hook onto. Who is it that you mostly find you deal with, Nimarta? Who are the people coming to you as your ideal clients who are going, I need to be more authentic with my storytelling?
Yeah, so there's usually 2 groups of people that I can see. They are a corporate leader or an emerging leader within corporate, and they recognize the importance of stories, not only for their own career progression, but also for how to lead and build that trust and connection within their team. So they want to get better at that. And they realize as well that a lot of what we get taught in terms of what storytelling is mostly around how to communicate better, how to be more polished and present better. That's not the kind of storytelling we're talking about. So that's one group. The other group is entrepreneurs, and a lot of it is women. I think women, we are more heart-led, and we recognize that need for that connection piece. And I hear women entrepreneurs will say to me, like, I know I need to share my story. I just don't know if I have any stories. I live a pretty normal life, like pretty boring. What are my stories? Can you help me?
It is hard, isn't it? Often you are just too close to what's going on. So having that helicopter view of somebody else coming in and having a look at your brand is so valuable and so authentic, because you will notice things. You go, hang on a minute, back up a step. Just tell me a little bit more about that story. So that's really cool. And whereabouts did they use these stories? I mean, are they using them to improve their LinkedIn profiles? Are they using them to improve their marketing communications or their communications with their team? Where do they mostly get the benefit from this?
Yeah, so all of it, right? I always, when people ask me, oh, where should we use story? I go, where shouldn't you? Like, every place is an opportunity to share your story. So have it in your about us section if you've got a website, on your LinkedIn profile, when you're sharing content on LinkedIn. If you're someone who wants to progress your career, then your resume, there's a way to write resume that's story-led, and I help my clients do that. Interviewing, how do we prep for an interview, and using stories to do that. Client meetings, team meetings, if you're presenting on stage, leading with a story is one of the most powerful ways. And this, Lauren, like when you're speaking, how do we connect with our audience? So lots of opportunities, and I help my clients come up with a story bank, and a process called story mapping, where then we map their story and go, what's the message that comes out of the story, and what are the platforms that we could share this particular story?
I love it. And are you seeing an increased need for this, given that there's such a propensity these days to just use AI to write everything? What are you noticing in terms of the trends?
Yeah, so what I'm noticing in terms of the trend, I just read an article the other day where it says storytelling is becoming the new coding. And what that means is, like, people now being so saturated and immersed in AI are realizing that, like, everywhere they're looking, there's not really a glimpse of anything real and human. And they're craving that, and they're recognizing that I better be that, because I don't want my voice to be lost within all this noise, my humanity to be lost. So I'm seeing the trend where a lot more storytellers are emerging, a lot more sessions where people are creating impromptu story circles to share and hear authentic stories.
And what's the difference between, and I mean, it might be your basics, it might be your methodology, but can you really spot an inauthentic story like that when you see things online?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So one of the key distinctions of storytelling, and we love storytelling, right? It's part of our lives, so no diss to that. But one of the key distinctions that I pull apart story sharing from storytelling is about these grand stories where you sound really impressive, where it's like happily ever after and look how successful I am. So if we see a LinkedIn story or a LinkedIn post that starts with like that from rags to riches story, or the hero's journey where, oh, I was in my garage and depressed, and here's what happened, and now I'm this successful person. The minute we're trying to like look good or be impressive, that's not really a vulnerable, authentic way of sharing your story.
Yeah, sugarcoating. I love it. It's such a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas story sharing is more about taking somebody on the journey with you, I suppose, being a bit more relatable.
Yeah. It's viewing story as a service, to have your story be a mirror for another, that maybe they can relate to it, maybe they can see themselves in it, and we're sharing it to contribute and serve. And that takes a lot of that pressure away of like, I better tell a good story. And it also takes the spotlight off ourselves. Like a lot of, especially women that I work with, they're like, I don't want it to be about me. I don't want to just be talking about myself. It sounds cringe. But when we share from a place of serving, and women, we have that heart to serve, we feel more freed up to share our story.
Yeah, I love it. Now, you are listening to the That's Audacious podcast. If you like what you're hearing, there are lots of other episodes. You can find them on our website or on your favorite podcast channel. Please like and subscribe to get more. Now, Nimarta, just recently you shared your story from New York. Tell us a bit more about your award-winning journey and what happened to you in terms of the Stevie Awards.
Yeah, so it's really funny, Lauren, because this is the first time that I've entered or submitted for any award, right? And people congratulate you on winning the award, and that's great, and that's amazing, and like, wow, being in New York and receiving the award. But I say to people, the breakthrough comes before that. The breakthrough is like me lying in bed at 2 a.m. going, can I submit this award? Should I? Can I? And everything in me going, no, who are you to be doing this? You've just pivoted your business. It's all new. You've got a 3-year-old. How are you going to travel to New York? Like all the no's, and that breakthrough of going, F it, I'm going to do it. I'm telling, I'm saying to my clients, you need to share their story. Like, who am I to then not be a demonstration of that? So it pushed me to go, yep, I'm doing it. And then the courage it takes to message 30 past clients to go, can you write me a testimony or a video? And trusting that they're not going to come back and be like, no, you were pretty horrible. We're not going to do it, So really, really that was a big breakthrough. And then being at the Stevies, they call it, I get it now why they call it the Oscars of the business award. It's like you're just surrounded by magnificent people, remarkable from all around the world, gathered in New York, and to be able to be there and accepting 2 bronze awards for a business that I've very recently pivoted. It's such an honor. It's such a humbling experience and such a validation that this work is needed in the world.
And you were up against some pretty big competition as well. What was one of the people in one of your categories? Was it TripAdvisor?
Yeah, I think there was TripAdvisor. I think there was IBM in one of those things as well. Yeah.
I love it. So that imposter syndrome, that itty bitty shitty committee inside your head that was telling you hadn't done enough. It's like, there you go. There's some tangible evidence that actually I'm pretty good. And what I've come up with is something that's worth sharing with the world. So well done, Nimarta. That's phenomenal. And have you noticed anything since winning the awards as to how it might have changed either your approach to business or other people's opinions of you?
I had some people who, because it was a recently pivoted business, was like, oh yeah, kind of the mentality of like, you're not there yet, and it's going to take you a very, very long time to be there. Wherever the definition of there is, I still don't know. But it was very discouraging to speak to some of those people and hear that kind of feedback, even though I knew that, yes, the business and the methodology is new, but I didn't just kind of fall into storytelling. It's been part of my whole career for decades, right? So this gives like that validation of, no, I don't, wherever there's always a next step, but I'm somewhere that matters already. This is already something that is significant in its own right. It doesn't matter that it was new or like the idea was recently birthed, but it has merit. I think that was the biggest thing. So kind of the ability to stand tall, that made a big difference winning Stevies. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. It's a lovely story, as we hear so often, around how purpose meets profession, that it's something that's been in your DNA for so long, and now it's what you do. And this is are you really finding that you've nailed it in terms of what you are put on this earth to do, and this is your purpose?
My goodness, like I have never felt more aligned with who I am and what I'm doing. And my husband says to me, he goes, I've never really seen you settle. Like I'm always like looking for the next thing. I'm always like, I don't think this is quite it. I think I've got to pivot and do this and do this. While I'm still someone who's got a lot of ideas, but where I'm at and the path I'm on, I'm like, I've never been more aligned in my life. And it's a wonderful place to be.
Brilliant. And do you think the awards journey is just something that has reinforced that in what you're doing? It's now giving you that tangible evidence that, yep, I'm on the right path.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Like to be standing there, I think one of them was Anneke from Rufus & Co. And she's a brilliant and a global phenomenon. And I'm like, I'm there with her. Like, how is this happening? So very, very validating. Yes.
Yeah, I know one of the other ladies who was there said it felt like I was running with thoroughbreds.
Thanks so much for listening to the
that you
That's
surround
Audacious
yourself
podcast.
with these amazing.
Remember, there's no place for modesty in business.
So no matter what's
And you
the
do
next step
deserve
for
to
you
be well
in
known,
your
well
amazing
paid,
journey
and
to
wanted.
build your profile.
For more
and to be
episodes,
known
please
as the
subscribe to the
story sharer.
podcast on your favorite channel
So
or follow us
definitely
online.
there's a book
The
in the
links
cards
are in the description
and
below.
I just finished my business planning session. So the book is in the plan for next year. Definitely putting the work of story sharing out there to more people. So I run group programs and definitely would love to do more work around the corporate space and speaking as well. So all that to come next year.
Brilliant. I love it. And if somebody was listening to this and they're going, this sounds amazing, I'm intrigued, what would you suggest their first step should be into moving from storytelling to story sharing?
Yeah, so I would say, first of all, you can go to my LinkedIn profile and download my free guide. And that actually outlines the story sharing framework and gives you steps to follow. So that would be a good first step. But I would also invite them to look at moments, reflect on moments in their life where we call them crucible moments, so moments that have shaped us. And those are not like glossy, polished moments. Those are like, what are your turning points and failures and times you had to break free from something? Reflect on moments like that and try and share it without worrying about, I've got to make it sound good or look good. And that's a good start for an authentic story.
Yeah, I love it. And I guess you'd know that you'd need to do that if you've got lots of content going out there and you're not getting that engagement, you're not getting that connection, and it seems to be going above people's heads. Is that a good indicator that you're probably not really being authentic with your story sharing?
Yeah, 100%. I've got a client recently who shared a LinkedIn post. She's a business owner, shared a LinkedIn post that uses the story sharing framework. And she sent me a note and said, this got 850 impressions. It more than doubled her previous best. And most of her posts don't even hit 100 impressions. Now, it's not about the numbers, but if you read the comments, everyone's resonating. Oh, we get it. Oh, thank you for sharing this. Oh, it's so great to see. I'm not going through this alone. Like, people are pouring in with like how much it resonates. So that's a good indicator that you're being authentic.
Yeah, I love it. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I've got loads of content going out there, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. And it's about contacting Nimarta, downloading that guide to start being more authentic with your story sharing. Now, we're at the end of this fabulous interview, but we always have the same question for all of our guests. Nimarta, if I could take you back in time to a place where you could give yourself some advice for today to help you with where you are now, what would that be?
Yeah, it's a really great question. I love it. I would tell my old self, younger self, to trust her intuition, because that's what led me here. And along the way, there's so much noise, people saying you shouldn't do this, you should be that, be this, especially being a brown woman, Asian and brown. We just are so conditioned to be pleasing and do things the right way and don't do that and don't go out of line and I would just go, forget all of that and listen to the gut, to the intuition, and it will always lead you to the path you're meant to be on.
I love it. That's so kind and gentle to us as well. That, yeah, it's about knowing when you're on your path and you're aligned. I'm loving seeing your confidence and your real resolute. This is what I'm doing. This is what I want to be known for into the future, because I know you've had different brands and different things like that, and you do seem to be well and truly on your way now, which is brilliant. And I encourage you, if you're listening to this, if you want to know more about story sharing, all of the links will be below this interview. Please reach out, contact Nimarta, and talk to her about how you can engage more and connect more with the content that you're creating and sharing those stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly of what goes on in life. So Nimarta, thank you so much for being on the show today. And remember, if you're listening to this, you do deserve to be well known, well paid, and wanted. So go out there and be audacious. Thanks so much for listening to the That's Audacious podcast. Remember, there's no place for modesty in business, and you do deserve to be well known, well paid, and wanted. For more episodes, please subscribe to the podcast on your favourite channel or follow us online. The links are in the description below.